Hello, everybody. I'm here to help you solve the mystery of writing out checks for wedding gifts. So, here's the short answer. If you are writing a check as a gift for a wedding, it's best to put the bride's name with her maiden name, the word or, and the groom's name. All right, I'm going to go into detail as to why you shouldn't write Mr. and Mrs. John Smith. So, when you write Mr. and Mrs. John Smith, that means that they both have to have the last name Smith and they both will have to endorse the checks with the exact way that the check is written. But here's the thing. Jane Smith may not exist. Yeah, I know you know Jane. But Jane, without you knowing, may have chosen not to change her name. So technically, Jane is still Jane Doe and not Jane Smith. So she will run into issues at the bank because her name doesn't match the check. So in some cases, branch managers will have grace and say, "Okay, I see the wedding license," but in some cases, it doesn't work out that way. I was a bank teller for 6 years, and I've seen time and time again where we had issues with the ones with the "and" on there. So my recommendation is to write it out to Jane Doe or John Smith. Now, here is a couple of other options you can use. Let's say you're there supporting Jane Doe. You could just write the check out just to her. So you say, well, what if she changed her name? It won't matter because Jane Doe is Jane Doe. Because she changed her name, she'll have a record of that, and the bank will be able to go based on the record. She'll have her old ID or some indicator via the account information that her maiden name was Doe. If you know the groom, just write it out to the groom. It's not a problem there. If you just want to write it out to just one person. And the last way that you can write it out is to cash. Cash means that anybody who endorses the back of the check can cash it. The only issue with that is some people are uncomfortable with that, and I understand. So if you're mailing a check, it's best to mail it to the person that you are trying to support. So if you know the bride, write it out to her name um, with her maiden name. If you know the groom, just write it out to him. Some people just write it out to the groom anyway to avoid all of that. So again, here's the issue.